A queen steps into the castle, yet her place remains outside its gates. Camilla has fought her entire life for recognition to ensure her family's no longer seen as outsiders in the royal fold. But for William, the monarchy is a line that cannot be blurred. He bars her son and sister from royal events as if building a wall between past and present. Amid cold confrontations, a torn letter, tense dinners under crystal chandeliers. Both harbor their own private scars. But then, under the moonlight in Windsor's gardens, they finally talk not as prince or queen, but as two wounded souls. Windsor Castle. A June evening in 2023 glows under the radiant light of crystal chandeliers. The shimmering beams dance across ancient stone walls as if whispering centuries of royal history. In the grand hall, the clink of wine glasses mingles with polite greetings, practiced smiles, and the faint scent of expensive perfume. This is the annual charity gala where high society gathers, where sharp eyes scrutinize every gesture, every word searching for a crack in the monarchy's flawless facade. Queen Camilla enters the hall poised and elegant in a pearl-colored silk gown, her shoulders squared, her faint smile both gentle and commanding. Her silver hair is swept up, adorned with a sparkling diamond brooch. In her 70s, she has mastered the art of concealing her heart's scars behind a shield of dignity. The crowd offers slight bows as she passes, but their gazes aren't always warm. Camilla feels it, a chill that brushes against her delicate skin. She's used to it by now, accustomed to the whispers behind her back, to the label of homewrecker the public once pinned on her. She pauses, accepting a glass of wine from a server, her eyes scanning the hall. Familiar faces emerge, dukes, earls, generous donors, and invited reporters with their crocodile tears. But there's one face she seeks, one she hopes to see: Tom, her son. Her heart tightens as she recalls the brief phone call from hours earlier. "Mom, they wouldn't let me in." Tom's voice had said, calm but tinged with hurt. "Prince William." He gave the order. Camilla's grip on the glass tightens, her fingers trembling slightly. Her smile remains, but her eyes drift, lost in a distant place. She knows William is somewhere in this room, his stern demeanor, that of a future king. She can feel his gaze, cold and piercing, watching her from afar. It's not the first time she's faced his rejection, but this time it cuts deeper. Tom isn't just her son. He's the emblem of a life she's fought to defend, a life that doesn't belong to the crown. A few yards away, Prince William stands beside Princess Catherine, his champagne glass untouched. His tailored black suit accentuates his tall frame, but his face carries a pensive air. His deep blue eyes, inherited from his mother, Princess Diana, seem to hold an unspoken sorrow. He watches Camilla not with malice, but with a resolute coldness. Barring Tom from the castle gates wasn't an easy choice, but for William it was necessary. The monarchy is a world of boundaries, and he learned early that only royal blood truly belongs here. Catherine, in an elegant teal gown, gently touches his arm, a small but meaningful gesture. "You okay?" she whispers, her voice soft but tinged with concern. William nods, but his eyes don't leave Camilla. He knows his actions will hurt, but he can't let personal feelings override duty. Camilla, though now queen, remains a symbol of the painful years etched in his memory nights. He heard his mother cry days when tabloids screamed about the other woman. "It's not personal," he says quietly, as if convincing himself. "It's about the monarchy, about what we stand for." Catherine doesn't reply, only squeezing his arm lightly. She understands William better than anyone knows the scars he carries from childhood. But she also sees in his eyes that his resolve is partly duty and partly a wound that never healed. Camilla moves toward a group of guests, polite pleasantries flowing like a stream. She speaks of charity projects, of children in rural areas needing support, but her mind is elsewhere. The image of Tom standing outside the castle in a crisp suit but turned away like an outsider haunts her. She once promised her son that one day they would be accepted. Now that promise feels like a distant dream. She glances at William, catching his eye for a moment. No words are spoken, but the silence between them is heavier than any argument. Camilla turns away, her smile growing strained. She wonders if she'll ever truly belong here, or if she'll forever be a shadow beneath the castle's lights. As the orchestra begins a waltz, the crowd parts, making way for couples to dance. Camilla stands alone, her wine glass empty. Across the hall, William turns and steps onto the balcony, where the darkness of the summer night envelops him. Both, though under the same roof, are separated by an entire kingdom. Kensington Palace, a quiet morning a few days after the Windsor Gala is bathed in the soft June sunlight. Rays filter through tall windows, casting patterns of light and shadow on polished wood floors, like an abstract painting. In his private study, Prince William sits in a leather chair, hands clasped tightly, his gaze fixed on a portrait on the wall. It's Princess Diana, his mother, her gentle smile and vibrant blue eyes full of life. The portrait isn't just a keepsake, it's a guiding flame through his darkest days, but also a reminder of a pain that never fades. William takes a deep breath, trying to shake the heaviness pressing on his chest. He hasn't slept well since the gala. Barring Tom Parker Bowles from the castle, though he believes it was right, has left a crack in his resolve. He doesn't hate Tom. The man has done nothing wrong except be Camilla's son. But for William, Camilla's name is tied to painful memories, his mother's tears in her bedroom, tabloid headlines about the other woman, and the moment he realized his family was broken forever. He stands stepping closer to the portrait, his fingers brushing the gilded wooden frame. "You'd understand, wouldn't you?" he whispers, his voice low and hoarse, as if seeking approval from a spirit long gone. Diana always taught him compassion, to put people above protocol. But she was also the one who suffered most from Camilla. How could he let Camilla's family, those without royal blood, enter the world his mother gave her life to protect? On his desk, a cream-colored envelope lies quietly, Camilla's elegant handwriting clear on its surface. The letter arrived this morning, its request simple but weighty. "Please reconsider Tom's place." William has read it twice, each word pricking his conscience like a needle. Camilla doesn't beg or plead. Her tone is calm, almost an invitation to reconcile. But to William, the letter isn't just about Tom. It's a reminder that Camilla, now queen, is trying to leave her mark on the monarchy, a mark he's determined to erase. He sits tearing the letter into small pieces, the scraps falling to the desk like dried petals. The act doesn't bring the relief he'd hoped. Instead, it makes him feel small, like an angry child, rather than a man shouldering the future of a dynasty. He leans back, closing his eyes, and memories flood in childhood days, chasing his mother through Kensington's gardens, her laughter ringing like music. Then those moments were replaced by tears. Nights she sat alone in her room, and Camilla's name echoing like a curse. Now Camilla is more than a name. She's the queen, the woman beside his father, slowly accepted by the public, though not by all. William knows barring Tom from the gala wasn't just about protocol. It was his way of building a wall between past and present, between his mother's legacy and the reality he faces. But is that wall truly solid, or just a facade hiding old wounds still smoldering? The study door creaks open, and Princess Catherine steps in, carrying a cup of Earl Grey tea on a silver tray. Her simple beige dress highlights her natural elegance, but her eyes betray concern as she looks at William. "You haven't slept, have you?" she asks, setting the tray down and sitting across from him. William offers a faint smile, masking his fatigue. "I'm fine, Kate. Just a lot on my mind." Catherine glances at the paper scraps on the desk, recognizing Camilla's handwriting. She doesn't ask about the letter, but she understands. She always understands William, not just because of love, but because of the years she's watched him wrestle with his responsibilities. "You did what you thought was right," she says softly, "but sometimes right doesn't mean easy." William looks at her, his gaze softening. Catherine is his anchor, the one who knows how to pull him from his inner storms. But this time, he's not sure he wants to be pulled out. "If I let Tom in," he says, his voice low, "if I let her family into this world, am I betraying Mom?" Catherine pauses, choosing her words carefully. "Your mom would want you to protect the monarchy, but she'd also want you to live with an open heart. Keeping Tom out doesn't erase the past, Will. It just hurts the people still here." Her words are like a cool breeze, but they don't quench the fire in William's heart. He turns back to Diana's portrait, feeling as if her eyes are piercing through him, not judging, but questioning. Is he truly being fair, or is old pain clouding his judgment? Buckingham Palace, a week after the Windsor Gala, carries the somber air of a languid summer day. Soft light filters through red velvet curtains in King Charles's private meeting room, where portraits of past monarchs hang on the walls. silent witnesses to history. Charles sits at the head of a long wooden table, his silver hair glinting under the lamplight, his tired eyes revealing decades of duty and conflict. Before him are the two people he loves most yet, who are the twin flames quietly scorching his heart, Camilla the Queen and William his son, the future king. Camilla sits to Charles's right, her hands clasped tightly on the table, her wedding ring gleaming as a reminder of the arduous journey she's endured. Her olive green dress is simple yet elegant, as if she's trying to mask her pain with a composed exterior. Across from her, William sits upright, his dark gray suit accentuating his stern demeanor. His gaze is cold, fixed on the table's carved patterns, as if they might spare him the conversation ahead. Charles clears his throat, breaking the stifling silence. "We need to talk," he says, his voice deep but authoritative, though it betrays a slight tremor. "About Tom, about the gala, and about this family." Camilla lifts her head slightly, her eyes seeking Charles, searching for a glimmer of hope. But when she looks at William, her heart tightens. She knows he won't yield easily. William, with his fierce loyalty to tradition and his mother's legacy, has built a wall she's not sure she can breach. Charles glances at Camilla, then at William, feeling as if he's standing in a battlefield without gunfire. He understands them both. Camilla, the woman he's loved for decades, sacrificed everything, her reputation, her pride, her youth, to be with him. She endured vicious criticism, scornful glares to finally become queen. But now, with her son Tom turned away at the castle gates, she faces a new wound deeper than any the public ever inflicted. William, on the other hand, is his flesh and blood, the embodiment of Diana, the woman Charles once loved and hurt. He sees in his son's eyes a familiar pain, the pain of a boy who lost his mother, of a man tasked with safeguarding the royal legacy. Charles recalls the years he was torn between his love for Camilla and his duty to Diana. Now history seems to repeat itself, and he stands at the divide, powerless against his family's fracture. "Camilla," Charles says, his voice softening, "say what you need to say." Camilla takes a deep breath, her hands trembling slightly as she begins. "I'm not here to argue, William," she says, her voice low and clear, though tinged with a quiver. "I just want you to understand. Tom isn't part of the royal family, I know that. But he's my son. He's my family. When you barred him from the castle gates, you didn't just reject him, you rejected me." She pauses, her gaze drifting to Charles, seeking support. Charles nods faintly, but his eyes are filled with worry. Camilla continues, her voice now carrying a fierce resolve. "I've lived through years of being called a homewrecker, despised by the public, torn apart by the press. I've sacrificed everything to stand here beside your father as queen. But if my son can't even walk through those gates, I have to ask, do I truly belong here?" Her words hang in the air, sharp as a blade. Charles feels his chest tighten. He wants to wrap his arms around Camilla to tell her she's everything to him. But he also sees William, his shoulders stiffening, his cold gaze now shifting to Camilla, as if she's touched an unhealed wound. William remains silent for a moment, weighing his words. He doesn't want to hurt Camilla, not personally. But every word she speaks, every request she makes, reminds him of what his mother lost. "Ma'am," he says, his voice calm but icy, "the monarchy isn't a place to fix the past. Tom doesn't carry royal blood. He doesn't belong at events like the gala. That's the rule, and I'm only following it." Camilla's lips twitch, a bitter smile flickering. "Rules," she repeats, her voice almost a whisper. "I've lived my whole life by rules, William. But what rule says a mother can't fight for her child?" Charles places a hand on Camilla's shoulder, a comforting gesture, but his eyes turn to William as if pleading with his son to open his heart. "Will," he says, his voice now laced with urgency, "I'm not asking you to break tradition. I'm only asking you to consider. Tom isn't a threat. He's family, even if he doesn't bear the royal name." William looks at his father, then at Camilla, and for a moment a wave of emotions surges, anger, pain, and a flicker of guilt. But he quickly suppresses it. "Sir," he says, his voice unwavering, "the monarchy isn't a place to fix the past. If we start blurring boundaries, we'll lose what makes us who we are." His words are a cut, and Camilla feels her heart bleed. She turns away, her gaze falling to her clasped hands where her wedding ring glints like a forgotten promise. Charles tightens his grip on her shoulder, vowing to find a way to reconcile. But as he looks at William, he knows his son won't bend easily. The meeting ends in silence, with only the ticking of a clock on the wall, counting the seconds of a family unraveling. As William leaves the room, Charles embraces Camilla, feeling her tremble in his arms. "I'll find a way, my love," he whispers, but his voice lacks certainty. Camilla nods, but her eyes are distant, as if staring into a future where she's unsure she belongs. The Duchy of Cornwall estate, an afternoon in the fall of 2023, is bathed in the soft, golden light of a setting sun. Fields stretch endlessly outside the manor, shimmering under the day's last rays. But inside Prince William's office, the air is cold and formal. He sits at an oak desk, a stack of documents piled high before him, each page a piece of his months-long plan to modernize the duchy. The desk lamp's glow highlights his chiseled features and deep blue eyes where an unshakable resolve resides. Before him is a particular document, the decision to terminate the contract of Annabel Elliot, Queen Camilla's sister, who has designed interiors for royal estates for 2 decades. His fountain pen hovers over the page, his fingers gripping it tightly as if wrestling with himself. Annabel is a talented designer, he doesn't deny it. The velvet curtains, carefully chosen paintings, and leather-upholstered chairs in the estates all bear her mark. But she's Camilla's sister, and Camilla's name to William is forever linked to painful memories. His mother's tears, tabloid headlines, and a fractured family. "This isn't personal," William mutters, as if convincing himself. "This is about the duchy, about the future." He takes a deep breath, sets the pen to paper, and signs his name with swift, decisive strokes. The black ink spreads across the page, marking the end of an era. He pushes the document aside, a mix of relief and unease settling in. He knows this decision will hurt, but he believes it's necessary to protect the royal legacy, to ensure the duchy isn't bound by outdated family privileges. 2 days later, in a private room at the duchy estate not far from William's office, Queen Camilla sits on a blue velvet chair, her arms wrapped tightly around her sister Annabel Elliot. Silent tears stream down her cheeks, soaking the white silk handkerchief clutched in her hand. Annabel, with her silver blonde hair and kind face, gently pats her sister's shoulder, trying to comfort her. "Don't cry, Camilla," she says, her voice warm but trembling. "It's okay. I'll be fine. You don't need to hurt for me." But both know it's a lie. William's decision isn't just the loss of a contract, it's a deep wound to Camilla's heart, a declaration that her family has no place in the royal world. Camilla wipes her tears, struggling to compose herself. "Annabel, you don't understand," she whispers, her voice quivering but laden with emotion. "This isn't just about your work. It's about us, our family. I've fought my whole life to be accepted, to stand here as queen. But now, with Tom barred from the castle gates, with you pushed out of the duchy, I feel like William is erasing every trace of me, of us." Annabel takes her sister's hand, her eyes shining with resilience mixed with pain. "You're the queen," she says, her voice stronger. "No one can erase that. Not William, not the public, not anyone." But Camilla shakes her head, her gaze drifting to the window where the sunset is fading. "I'm the queen, but I'm still a mother, a sister," she says, her voice barely audible. "And I can't bear to see the people I love treated like outsiders." The room falls silent, filled only with the soft sighs of 2 women who've weathered countless storms together. Annabel holds Camilla tightly, as if trying to give her the strength she herself is losing. Camilla grips her sister's hand, vowing silently to find a way to fix this. But deep down, she fears the crown she wears is a golden cage trapping her in a world that will never fully accept her. That night, at a family dinner in the Duchy Estate's grand dining room, Camilla and William face each other. The long table is elegantly set with flickering candles and gleaming silver cutlery under the chandelier's glow. King Charles sits at the head, trying to keep the conversation light, discussing charity projects and the fall weather. Princess Catherine, in a graceful emerald gown, smiles politely, but her eyes betray her unease as they flicker between Camilla and William. Camilla can't take it anymore. She sets down her knife and fork, her gaze locking onto William, sharp and unwavering. "William," she says, "I need to ask you something. Is there any place in this crown for my family?" Her question is like a stone dropped into a still lake, shattering the dinner's fragile pretense. Charles stops speaking, his hand freezing on his wineglass. Catherine inhales sharply, her eyes shifting to William, concerned but unsurprised. All eyes in the room turn to him, awaiting his response. William is silent, his hands clenching under the table, his eyes meeting Camilla's. For a moment, he sees not the queen, but a woman fighting for those she loves. But he can't answer. Her words touch an old wound, a pain he's tried to bury for years. Instead of replying, his eyes speak volumes, a cold resolve, laced with a hint of guilt he can't hide. Camilla waits hoping, but his silence is another knife. She looks away, her gaze falling to the candle before her, its tiny flame flickering. Charles takes her hand under the table, but she only shakes her head slightly, her heart heavy. William stands, excuses himself in a low voice, and leaves the room, leaving behind a void that can't be filled. The upper gardens of Windsor Castle, a summer night in 2025, are bathed in silvery moonlight. Rose bushes release their sweet fragrance, mingling with the cool night air, creating a rare moment of peace within the royal heart. The moonlight filters through the trees, painting patches of light and shadow on the ground, like a canvas of hope and doubt. In a corner of the garden beneath a wisteria arbor, Queen Camilla and Prince William stand face to face for the first time in 2 years of tension in a conversation free of crowns or duties. Camilla, in a simple blue silk dress, her silver hair loosely framing her face, looks less like a queen and more like an ordinary woman carrying the scars of her past. Her eyes, once steadfast through countless storms, now shine with sincerity mixed with weariness. William, in a white dress shirt and dark slacks, stands tall, but his shoulders lack their usual rigidity. His gaze, though still sharp, has softened, no longer carrying the coldness that once wounded Camilla. She takes a deep breath, her voice gentle but clear, like water flowing over stone. "William," she begins, "I'm not here to argue or apologize. I just want us to talk, really talk, as two people, not as queen and prince." William looks at her, the moonlight reflecting in his deep blue eyes, reminiscent of Diana. He nods slightly, a small gesture that encourages Camilla to continue. She steps toward a rose bush, her fingers brushing the soft petals as if seeking courage. "I know you don't like me," she says, her voice trembling faintly. "I know my name brings you painful memories. But I want you to understand that I never meant to hurt your mother. Those years, they were hell for me too." She pauses, her gaze lost in the darkness, as if revisiting the days she was branded a homewrecker, torn apart by the press, despised by the public. "I lived through sleepless nights, days when I wondered if I was worth loving." She continues, her voice growing stronger. "But I fought not just for Charles, but for myself, for Tom, for Annabelle. They're my family. William and I can't stop fighting for them, no matter how you see me." William listens, his hands in his pockets, his eyes drifting over the roses, before returning to Camilla. Her words touch a deep place within him, where the pain of his mother's loss still smolders. He's never thought of Camilla as a woman with her own scars. To him, she's always been a symbol of his family's collapse, of Diana's tears. But now, under the moonlight, he sees a mother, a sister, a woman who's endured as much as his mother did. "I don't hate you," he says, his voice low and sincere, revealing a hint of vulnerability for the first time. "But every time I see you, I see my mom, what she lost. I'm afraid that if I let Tom, Annabelle, your family, into this world, I'll lose her legacy. I'll lose her. Again." His confession is like a cold gust, making Camilla pause. She looks at him, truly sees him, and for the first time she sees not a cold future king, but a man haunted by pain. "William," she says, her voice gentle, "your mom is part of you. Part of the monarchy, part of this world. No one can erase her legacy. But pushing my family away doesn't keep her here. It just creates new wounds." William is silent, his gaze dropping to the ground, where the moonlight traces patterns on the grass. Camilla steps closer, her voice now carrying a new resolve. "I propose a deal," she says, her eyes locked on his. "I'll respect your boundaries. I won't ask for what the monarchy can't give. But I'm asking you give Tom and Annabelle a chance. Not to stand in the spotlight, but to prove their worth. They don't need titles, just fairness." William looks at her, weighing every word. Part of him wants to refuse to keep things as they are, safe and familiar. But another part, the part buried under duty and pain, wants to believe there's another path, one where the monarchy isn't a battlefield. He extends his hand, taking Camilla's, a simple gesture heavy with meaning. "I'll consider it," he says, his voice low but firm. "I'm not promising anything, but I'll consider it." Camilla squeezes his hand lightly, a relieved smile flickering across her lips. But as she turns to walk back to the castle, she feels a fragile spark of hope, like moonlight on water. William lingers under the wisteria arbor, looking up at the night sky where stars twinkle like his mother's eyes. He wonders if he can truly forgive not just Camilla, but himself for letting pain guide him for so long. The Grand Hall of Buckingham Palace glows warmly under the light of crystal chandeliers. Once a stage for countless royal dramas, it now buzzes with laughter, the clink of wine glasses and heartfelt toasts. This is a celebration of the royal family's charitable initiatives, a chance for the monarchy to shine before the world, but also a quiet milestone, a small but meaningful step toward healing a fractured family. Queen Camilla, in a shimmering sapphire gown, walks beside King Charles, her smile brighter than ever. Her silver hair is swept up, adorned with a pearl brooch, highlighting the dignity she's honed over years. Tonight, her smile isn't a mask. It reflects a newfound hope, a belief that the wounds of the past, though not fully healed, are beginning to fade. Beside her, Charles holds her hand, his eyes shining with pride and relief. He knows their journey isn't over, but this moment proves they've survived their darkest days. In the crowd, Tom Parker Bowles appears not as a royal, but as a respected guest. His navy suit fits him perfectly, and his gentle smile hides the hurts he's endured. He shakes hands with donors, discusses charity projects, and for the first time in years, he feels he's not an outsider. His presence, however small, is a quiet victory for Camilla, proof that the monarchy's rigid gates have begun to open. Annabelle Elliot is also there, not as an official designer, but as a consultant for a small Duchy of Cornwall project. Her elegant beige dress complements her kind demeanor, and her eyes sparkle with gratitude as she looks at Camilla. They share a glance wordless, but brimming with the depth of sisterhood and resilience. Annabelle knows this modest opportunity is the result of Camilla's long nights of fighting, not just for her, but for the meaning of family. Prince William stands across the hall beside Princess Catherine, his champagne glass glinting under the lights. His deep blue eyes scan the crowd, pausing on Tom, then Annabelle, and finally Camilla. The anger that once consumed him 2 years ago is gone. In its place is a blend of acceptance and responsibility, a realization that the monarchy isn't just tradition, but people willing to change. Catherine, in a graceful blush pink gown, lightly touches his arm, sensing the shift in him. "You did the right thing," she whispers, her voice soft but certain. "Your mom would be proud of you, Will, not because you protected her legacy, but because you opened your heart." William smiles, a rare but genuine smile. He looks at Catherine, finding comfort in her gaze, and for the first time he feels unburdened. Inviting Tom and Annabelle wasn't easy. It required facing painful memories, the fear of losing his mother's legacy. But the moonlight conversation with Camilla months ago changed him. She didn't ask him to forget his mother, only to see the humanity in his choices. And he did not just for Camilla, but for himself, the man who wants to be a just king, unbound by the past. He approaches Camilla, who's chatting with a group of guests. When she turns, their eyes meet, and for a moment time seems to stop. No longer queen and prince, no longer enemies or rivals. They are two people, both bearing the weight of a dynasty, both carrying their own scars. William nods slightly, a small but profound gesture, a silent promise to keep trying. Camilla returns a smile, her eyes brimming with gratitude. She knows the rift between them isn't fully mended, that challenges lie ahead. But this moment, Tom's smile, Annabelle's gaze, William's nod is the light at the end of the tunnel, a reminder that family, however imperfect, can find a way to coexist. As cameras pan across the hall, capturing the royal family raising their glasses in a toast, Camilla and William lift theirs together, their eyes meeting once more. No longer a look of confrontation, but of understanding, fragile, but enough to build a new future. The crowd applauds, music swells, and the chandeliers continue to shine, as if blessing a new chapter for the dynasty. Camilla tightens her grip on Charles's hand, feeling his warmth. She looks at Tom, Annabelle, and William, and for the first time in years, she feels she's not just a queen, but part of a family, not by blood, but by choices and forgiveness. William, beside Catherine, gazes at the crowd, and in his heart, his mother's image smiles, as if telling him he's found his own path. The evening's light continues to spread, dispelling the shadows of the past, and though the road ahead is long, both Camilla and William know they've begun to walk it together, not for the crown, but for what truly makes the monarchy, people who dare to open their hearts and believe in the light. Hit like, share, and subscribe to spread this gripping royal saga, and stay tuned for more chapters.